What you're seeing behind me is one of our Bushcraft Survival Australia courses. This is our combined 7-day Module 1 and Module 2 Bushcraft Survival course. This is the day 5 over the 7-day course. The first 3 days were the Module 1, which was sort of the fundamental course, and that was all about geared around modern skills and equipment, priorities of survival, basic knife grips and knife usage, how to construct modern tarps and hoochies, knots, things like that, modern methods of fire lighting, how to procure water and make it safe to drink, plant identification and common plants and their usage, and signalling and location activities, as well as how to find direction using the stars and the sun. And it's coupled with some Indigenous cooking at night as well. They're trying to determine how they find direction using the sun and a shadow stick. So they put a stick in the ground, which casts a shadow, and they're going to mark that shadow with a stick. And that's our westerly mark. We simply need to wait a minimum of 20 minutes and then mark the new shadow, which is actually going to be out this way, with another stick, and that's going to give us an east-west line. Once we have an east-west line, we can then work out our north and south. Except the group are going to do this throughout the day. So they're going to have a whole line of sticks which will track the sun's direction. They're going to then be able to work out, have a very accurate method of determining direction using the sun's path. And depending on the time of year, you'll either get a straight line around the equinoxes or you'll get a curved line closer to the solstice. Okay, so there's our first marker about 15 minutes ago. It's our west marker. There's the end of the shadow tip now, so I'm going to put a new stick in. So that new stick is going to be easterly marker. So if that's west, that's east, north is going to be 90 degrees to that. And we can do that over a very short period of 20 minutes. The longer you do it, the more accurate it's going to be during the day. Then tomorrow they're going to be walking on some bearings with the stick through the scrub, just using shadows and things like that. The second phase of the course is Module 2, and that's where these students are at now on the second day of that, in which case some of the man-made resources and items disappear. Those man-made items being a knife, a combustion device, a covering, a container, metal container and cordage. Some of those are taken away, so then the students have to make them from nature. For example, they've been making cordage from natural resources, which replaces man-made cordage. They'll be learning how to make friction fire, which will replace a combustion device. And their man-made shelters are disappearing. They're learning to make shelters using natural materials. If you guys just want to go and help get another pile of leaves, we'll get 2 more bags and bagfuls and go and stick them. If you want to do that, we'll go and have a look at that. So go up the top, and of course out in the bush you wouldn't have something like that to collect it at all. You'd be doing it with your hands and a man-made rake. So who can tell me what's the angle of the shelter need to be to shed water? 45 degrees. It's a little bit lower than that, but that's okay, and that's why you've got 3 foot to do it. So for rain, of course, when you've got a wider shelter, you're getting this stuff where it'll fall off the sides. That's why the wider, the better, as you see. So, but it's very easy. This is the most prolific form of foliage here, so that's why we're using that to thatch our shelter. Yeah, no, it's actually looking good, isn't it?
You've done a good job.
In a very short time, they've done a really good job here.
Yeah,
it's good once they get the bed in.
So, 3 or 4 hours?
These guys won't want to leave here once they've done it. The students have been, firstly, you'd seen them in working on their natural shelters, with watershed using the resources around. In this case, there's plenty of leaves, so it's been a leaf thatched shelter, or say a debris hut type of shelter, because that's what's around. And they're going to be staying on there tonight. They still have to make a raised bed to get them off the ground, because in a cold environment you lose your heat through conduction to the cold ground. Out there using a tree that you were shown, you had to get some, you're going to have to find a black wattle, and you're going to put a transpiration bag up. as we did the other day. As you saw the other day, you're going to have a corner facing down. You're going to find the bushiest branch possible. So sun's tracking from east to west. We know midday was about over there, so that was north, so we know west's out there. So knowing that, you just have to find something that's got no trees on that side, so when it's in the sun the whole time. So you need to have a look at the aspect, so it's going to get lots of sun on it. And you're going to put that up there. There's some cordage there to help tie it up. You're going to have an airtight seal at one end on the branch. You know, you did this before, so an airtight seal. Try not to puncture the bag in the corner down. You don't need to put a reservoir in it. And the biggest, bushiest branch you can, try to give the green ants a shake first, even though we're going to have a green ant tea later tonight. And yeah, put that up in the sun and we're going to see how that works. The other one's got about a 600 mils of water from the other one. It's a small tree. I'll get you to put that up. So, and concurrently, so a few people can do that. Then using some millbank bags, you're going to go down there. Now the other guys are making a wharf, a new one to go and collect some water from there. Exactly the same. We have to dig it out, but if you make your own wharf out there, you can just go to a deep place. And of course on night time we'll have crop watch and that sort of thing as we practiced before, because once tonight it's when you think you'll be getting all your water from here. So we're getting set up, millbank bags to filter your water. You've got your metal cooking pots. If you need to get, say, one metal cooking pot from back at camp, you can, but at least just to get the system up and start having some filtered water, so when you get back to camp, you've at least got a litre of water to go. And if you've got your metal cooking pots, if you're not drinking out of those, you can start filling those up, just trying to get the system happening so you're not doing it on dark. Yep, any non-toxic tree.
Oh, so it doesn't have to be acacia?
No, it's just the reason why we say say any acacia and any gum tree, because they're good in Australia, they're widespread and they're common, they're non-toxic. Yeah. And they're drinkable straight up. That's why, because they're everywhere. So it can be paper bark, it can be a lot of other things, but it can't be puncturing the bag. So yeah, so it can be eucalypt or acacia. I was just using them because where we were is the most common. I thought you would have had it already up now and already produced 500 ml of water. Native cherry, because it's not toxic, but it's not everywhere, but here it's right. So north's out this way. You got one there. I need you to get the cordage. Put a thumb knot on the bite in one end, break off a bit. Break off, just say, that's heaps, just that. You're going to tie these together first, put a thumb knot on the bite. Then you're going to tie these together so they go into the bag. So just half hitch, pull in, then you can go under again. And gently put this into the bag. Now being very, very careful not to puncture the bag in any way and capture all those leaves. Trying to keep the cord. Now if you can, you want to do it so that they don't, very easy to snap the branches, then you get a sharp bit. Keeping it, doesn't matter if we've got some leaves on the bottom. It's all going to just a bit of tannin. And depending how it is, we're going to have to, the bag's just short, isn't it? So what that means is that we're going to have to, it's going to be difficult. We've got all that, we might need to stuff that with something. You can fold it, you can do that. And get that airtight seal, you get it to bend. And you're going to have to get it all scrunched up. So if you want to hold that. So there can't be any bare gaps at all. Just get rid of that. Good stuff. We'll get back to camp. You've seen them actually acquire water from trees using a transpiration bag, using the sun's process of photosynthesis to draw water out of the leaves, which is dispersed into the atmosphere. We're capturing that dispersal inside the plastic bag, which condenses on the inside of the bag, which produces clean drinking water. They've also been getting water from the lagoon behind us, which they are filtering first, and then they're going to purify it using either boiling or chemical means. So there's a whole stack of different types of things that they're doing. Yeah. If you can, just soak the bag and show the principle of getting that in there, and we'll take it back to camp. Looking out, so second person's looking out there. What we're doing is we're setting up all the water stuff for later on tonight. So then you've got your water going for after we finish our fire making and stuff, you can come back. The Millbank filter is going to filter all that out. It just saves you coming down here to get the water. So if you could just saturate that bag for us, Duncan. And you can take those back to camp. Let's give them a flush now. So what are we trying to get rid of while we're doing this? Turbidity. Solids, cloudiness. And once we get all that stuff out, that's going to be fine to drink. Just hold that up. Obviously letting it run off the side. And that will course filter all the just as good, or actually cleaner water than that bore water. So just look at the drip rate of those two bags. Most of that's running off the side. We can see the brown bag is a much slower drip rate, so that's actually filtering that a lot better than the old army ones, depending on the quality of the canvas. You've got your system set up for your water purification back at camp?
Yep.
Okay, we'll head back to camp and set those up. So what do you got happening here? Oh, so this is for your filtered water? Oh, nice one. Now, if you guys got any of your own purification methods, you can use that as well. So any chemicals and stuff, so that of course you need coarse filtration. This is the first method, boiling. So this, once you're in this phase tonight, this is going to be your water source for the night. The distance you want between that filling up is probably no more than that, because if you've got a breeze, that's just going to blow and it's going to miss. So ideally, you'd want to find a lower branch, because once you get wind, it's going to be really difficult to pull that in, and the wind, once that takes it and that changes gravity, that's going to move. So if you can find a lower one, that's going to make that easier. Tonight, I'll be sleeping in their natural shelters and making a fire, and they're going to be cooking some barramundi in paper bark within the hot coals of the fire. We're also going to have some native bush tucker to throw in there as well. So for you guys, if you just want to start on the fire pit while we're waiting. Everyone's been drinking?
Yeah, I've drank.
Drinking water. Just little things. This needs to be straight. See, it's on a bend. So just make sure when you hammer it in straight. You can actually put a wedge in that to straighten that up. Whoop. What's that? Oh, okay. The digging's a very small digging stick. Like 2 meters too small. So we're going to get you to do a pit. Pit's not too bad, probably about to here, and dig all that inside out. That's in the middle of the pit, right there, okay? There, and then your other stick can go there and dig that out. I'll show you a digging stick in a minute.
How deep do you want the fire pit?
That's plenty deep. In preparation for our dinner tonight, where you guys are going to be cooking some fish. So when you're cooking fish, we're going to be wrapping it in paper bark and then roasting it in the hot coals. But we're going to be soaking. So I'm going to show how to remove some sheets of paper bark. So what I'm going to do in preparation, because I want have all your fire lays set and everything done, so when you come back to cook, it's all ready. So you've done all that work in the light. You've got your shelter up in the daylight with the work. So and then it's just a matter of adjusting tomorrow, 2 days, and by last it's just going to be really nice and all smick, okay? This is day 2, right? Yeah. Yeah, so no, it all blends into one, but it's actually, you guys are really doing really well with the time. I'm just looking for a paper bark sheet. Now this has got a lot of stuff coming off it, and we're after some of the inner sheets, and what I want is something that's not ripped too much. But this one's, they're all about similar, and we're only going to be taking, you're probably going to come around this side. If you want to come around this side, this is the better of the 2 sides. We're only going to take off a certain section. We don't want to do this all around the tree because you can ring bark the tree. So I'm going to take a section that's about there to wrap my fish. And I'm not going right into the heartwood. Now, some parts are going to come out better than others. I'm just going to perforate down here, along the bottom. You're going to have 1 fish between 2. They're pretty big fish. Right, now the tricky part. Now if you've got a machete, is good for this. Now you can go in a few layers, but we don't need that much. Trying to get the same thickness each time. You don't need to go all the way into the bottom of the tree. Okay. We haven't gone too deep, that will grow back and you don't want to go all the way around. So there's no harm to the tree. It could go a little bit longer. I can even split that in half and then we're left with a paper bark sheet. Now that's quite thick. You can see how you make shingles for a shelter by getting a few of those. You don't want it, you want to choose a part without any knots in it. Right, so there's 2 sheets there. Your fish is going to go on it. Then you're going to wrap it. I'm going to show you it's going to fold better when it's wet. And we're going to wrap it up and we're going to fold the corners in and then we're going to tie it off with some string using the surgeon's knot I showed you. In your fires, which you're probably going to have to make your pits a little bit bigger, and you're just going to have, in your fall, you can dig a bigger fire pit outside that. Remember, the secret with the cooking in coals is what? Exclude the oxygen, cover it with ash, complete. So you need enough coals to cover it, so you can get a bigger fire going, safety, and thinking of all those things, and then you can just cover it. I'm going to show you how to wrap it as a parcel. Option 2 is you have your fire. Once you've got enough coals, you put down some green leaves, which could be just some pandanus leaves or any sort of green bush. You put your fish straight on the coals. Then with your paper bark, you cover it over with a couple of sheets of paper bark. And then what we're going to do is get some dirt and you're going to seal that in. And you can cook them that way and they're going to steam. And because this is wet, it's going to steam as well, and you can do the same thing. So there's 2 easier ways. Either wrap them in a parcel, put them in, cover it with coals and exclude the oxygen, but you need to have your fire, the coals hot. Follow me over here. You're just going to weigh that down and saturate them. Without putting a hole in it, just you want to soak that. Then when it comes time to use it, you're not going to burn it, but you've got to exclude the ash, the oxygen as well. You're going to have your fire lay, getting firewood. Your shelters are pretty good. You've got your water system. You can see how all these things are starting to happen together. They're just about to get a lesson on flint and steel, and that's how they're going to light their fire tonight. Paper bark won't work for friction fire of this. You need to get the tinder because it's not fibrous enough. It'll just smoke. You can have a bit of paper bark around it just so you can hold it to keep it together, but you'll find that all paper bark does is just gets hotter and hotter and it smokes. So it really needs, after a lot of heat, will blow. So it's not the best. Right, remember if you want to get that down, you're going to twist that. Remember, you want a ball. Okay, so guys, just watching what I'm doing now. You guys are also going to be learning how to make char cloth. Now, char cloth is charred cotton. I'm going to give you a few pieces, but you're going to have to learn to make it. So you need a fire first to make it. While I'm making this, I've taken some 4B, which is weapons cleaning 100% cotton. It's just any cotton cloth's fine. And what I'm going to do, that's inside a tin with a hole in the top. This hole is a little bit too large. And I'm going to put that in the fire. I don't want it in the flames. I'm just going to put it, that might be too hot for those over there. I'm just going to put that there. And that's going to carbonise, and I basically want it to burn without the oxygen. There's a piece of flint, or not flint, steel, which in this case is this is the traditional type of steel. High carbon steel. I've done the same thing with a bit of my own little personal kit, which is a bit of fencing wire. Well, it's actually high carbon wire. It's most fencing wire is just a mild steel. Being heated red hot and immersed in a fire to temper it. In water, in cold water immersed to temper it. And these ones are actually being done in a factory, you can buy them. There's a bit of flint, this is chert, and you're going to be using a glancing blow. If you're stiff-armed like this, it won't work. You have to be flexible and like loose, like you're strumming a guitar. I'm not a guitarist. Can you see that? It's a glancing blow. And what you're going to do is you're going to get some of this char cloth. You're going to put it on top and using a glancing blow. So this is the next fire. So if you already had a fire and if you've got some 100% cotton pants like jeans, which typically aren't really great out in the bush in a cold environment because they get wet, they stay wet. Flannelette shirts are great. You can char some in a tin or in your water bottle, take the lid off and put the cup upside down, char it in your tin, and you can make charred cotton for your next fire. So if you've got some means, or you remember your back of your knife blade, how I showed you can make, did I show you that, how you can get sparks from it? I can then create fire. Using a glancing blow, I'm going to strike down until I get a spark to land where I want it. Burns very hot. I get my tinder bundle, I shove it in it. Hopefully you've prepared it fine enough. Stick it in the hole. Take it away, breathe. There you go. All it was is it just wasn't buffed up. You can see it needs to be fibrous. Otherwise it's going to smoke like that. So that's just a quick lowdown on what the students have been doing today. And they've got another 2 days with lots of skills to learn. It's fun. People have come from all around, from interstate, to do the course. And it's quite popular. People just want to learn some life skills. In our technologically dependent world, people want to learn how to look after themselves. Not only that, it's a lot of fun. Hard work, but fun. Learn the techniques and skills to help save your own life.